勇于面对各方阻力，能够在困境中达成自己的目标，这种越挫越勇的性格与基辛格的童年经历有着密切的关系。年幼时，基辛格的13位犹太至亲丧身纳粹屠刀之下。在他15岁那年，全家为避免纳粹迫害迁往美国。美国对他来说完全是一个新的天地，他再也不用担心在马路上行走的时候，对面会冲过来一个人对他大打出手。很快，他就凭着出色的学业成绩和充满智慧的头脑，获得了其他人的认可。
It may also have affected him in his attitude towards the United States. The United States, after all, was the place that he and his family found refuge in. And he did very well in the United States. I mean, he was in the American Army during the Second World War. He then got a scholarship to study at Harvard. And so it may well have helped to shape his views towards the United States.
在哈佛攻读博士学位阶段，基辛格开始逐渐形成自己的政治哲学。他更倾向从历史的探索中找到对当今世界有益的东西，也就是中国人说的“以古鉴今，古为今用”。
He doesn't believe in cynically trying to engage in manipulation or wars in order to stabilize a balance of power. He believes that countries need to maintain relationships so that you don't end up having to deal with a predominant power in the world that is hostile to your interests.
My sense is, from what others have written about him, is that it affected him in the sense of his thinking that stability was very important, that ideology was very dangerous, that trying to keep a balanced world was very important.
1972年2月21日至28日，美国总统理查德·尼克松访华，这就像一场梦幻之旅。
Oh, we were all sort of pinching ourselves, you know. We were sort of in a dream, you know. We thought this was the most exciting thing that we'd done.
In some cases, the reaction of American allies was actually one of shock. The Japanese had not been told of this secret visit, and they learned about it just before Nixon's speech. The Philippines were furious. Indonesia was very angry because none of these countries had been properly briefed or consulted. The British Prime Minister, Edward Heath, was very hurt because he had felt that Nixon was a friend of his, and when Nixon didn't tell him that all this was happening, Heath was very hurt. And I think it contributed to a cooling of relations between the United States and a number of its allies.
I think the public saw that this was a very clever strategic move, and the result over the succeeding months was a real transformation in attitudes, I think, on both sides. The sense in China of rediscovering the United States, and the sense in the United States of discovering a new China that was very exciting to explore.
If there was a postscript that I hope might be written with regard to this trip, it would be the words on the plaque which was left on the moon by our first astronauts when they landed there. We came in peace for all mankind. Thank you and goodbye.
Nixon fought the inevitable for 2 torturous years. On Watergate, the House Judiciary Committee passed an article of impeachment charging Nixon with obstruction of justice. But before the House could vote to impeach, Nixon resigned on August 9th.
I shall resign the presidency effective at noon tomorrow.
就在尼克松访华后4个月，水门事件被披露。1974年8月9日，他成为美国历史上第1位辞职的总统。副总统福特继任。中美建交的事暂时被搁置起来。
And it was not possible in these circumstances to raise the problem of the formal recognition. Then a new administration came in, and they required 2 or 3 years to prepare congressional opinion, which had always thought of China as an enemy. So this is what delayed the formal diplomatic relations. But our relations were in fact improving.
中美建交的谈判仍在缓慢而秘密地推进着。黄华是中国首任驻联合国安理会代表，他和基辛格一直保持着密谈。密谈是在纽约第44街一幢小别墅里进行的。
我们那个时候已经买了一栋楼，在林肯中心，那个10层楼的一个旅店，下面有车库，他就派一辆破车，旧车，很次的旧车，开到车库里边，我们就从车库上车，去黄华和我，还有一个施艳华当翻译，我呢整个管这个整个会谈，包括记录、写报等等。这个车开出去，开到他的44街的门口，停在那儿，我们就上去。他在那儿跟洛德2个人等着，放着点心、咖啡，然后就谈，谈完了就走，就这样维持1年多的时间。
1973年，中美互设联络处，行使临时大使馆的职责。卜立德成为了第1批派驻中国的美国官员。
We were the first sort of resident diplomats from the U.S. in China for 23 years or whatever. Anyway, our job was to set up a small office and to start developing contacts with the Chinese and start working on the sort of basic issues, trade, travel, investment, so on and so forth. We started off very, very small.
在1974年至1975年间，邓小平与基辛格有过多次接触，这也为后来的中美建交起到了很大的作用。最终，在卡特总统执政时期，双方终于达成了协议。美国同意与台湾断交，并从台湾撤军，但是，在对台军售问题上，美国不肯让步。
I was actually in the room when Deng Xiaoping made the decision to go ahead with the establishing diplomatic relations, even though we could not agree on the arms sales issue. So from China's standpoint, that was a very important compromise.
1982年，两国建交3年之后，对台军售的问题才在817公报上得到解决。1979年1月1日，中美两国正式建立外交关系，而基辛格却早在1977年就退出了政坛。虽然没能在自己任职期间促成两国建交，但是基辛格说他并不觉得遗憾。
I'm rather proud of what we did. And I think it is some advantage that several American presidents of both political parties were involved.
I just saw Dr. Kissinger last week at a conference, and I said to him that his efforts in working with the Chinese government to open up China helped so many families, including my own. My father did not see his mother for 23 years. So there are so many Chinese families who were separated unintentionally, who did not want to be separated. And because of the opening up of China and his role in that, he helped to reunify and reunite families.
Dr. Kissinger recognized the importance of the relationship, and in 1989, in the fall, he came to China, met with Deng Xiaoping at that time, and he came again during the period when I was there. We didn't have very many senior American visitors at that time, so I felt that his visits were extremely helpful.
I think conflict between China and the United States is unfortunate for both countries. And I have a certain responsibility as the first American to come here, American official, to maintain that relationship.
1982年，基辛格创建了基辛格联合咨询公司，很多公司的经营者都想通过他去了解怎样在中国做生意。
Okay, Roberto.
据芮孝俭回忆，他担任美国驻华大使时，从1991到1995年，基辛格每年都会来中国。他会花很多时间去了解中国以及中美关系的近况。
At this moment in history, China and the United States have a special responsibility. We are the most advanced industrial country, but by a narrower margin than before. China is the most dynamic developing country, and we are on opposite sides of the Pacific. So between us we cover a great part of humanity and the world. So we have a special responsibility to work together closely, and I'm happy that we are making good progress. I like the Chinese people, and I like Chinese culture. And as a student of history, I admire a country, the only country in the world, that has an uninterrupted history of 4,000 years of self-government. That is a tremendous achievement. And I appreciate the human qualities that I have discovered in my Chinese friends of loyalty and reliability and intelligence.
基辛格成为了中国人民的老朋友。他退出政坛后多次访华，依然受到中国政府和人民最高规格的接待。曾经，出于国家利益的考虑，他致力于改善中美关系。现在，在逐步接触中国和这里的人民后，他对这个国家产生出了感情。
Former U.S. Secretary of State Dr. Henry Alfred Kissinger.
My parents taught me to do whatever I thought was most important and whatever could make the greatest contribution, and always to keep that in mind. I'm now in my 80s. I have done what I've done, and people can read about it and make up their own mind about it. But I'm not going to analyze why I did it.